why was it so important for you or to you to get involved in that way? Raise your children, and I guess you would say you have to marry well. You have to marry the right man.
And also to deal with customary practices which were harmful.
I want to turn now, because of course all of this to me prepared you for the next giant step you took to the international courts. I want to talk about those appointments now. How did your name come up for the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia? You had just been appointed to the Supreme Court in Zambia.
Yes. When I was appointed to the Supreme Court in Zambia, I was still completing my work at the Commission for Investigations. So I received a phone call from the then Deputy Chief Justice asking for my curriculum vitae. So I wondered what it was all about, and then he explained, and I said to him, "Oh, Deputy Chief Justice, I cannot compete with professors, international lawyers at the UN. Who will vote for me?" So he said, "Oh no, you have got the support." The Law Association was very supportive, and they had contacted other law associations within the African region to support my candidature. So I took my CV there, and they supported me. The government lobbied for me, and then the Commonwealth, they were led by the British government, because the British ambassador knew what type of work I was doing in Zambia. So they took up my CV and lobbied for me. The government lobbied for me. So that's how I got into the UN judicial seat.
And you're so modest. I mean, each of these things, people are always inviting you to do things. You're always saying, "Oh no, I'm not the one. It should be someone else." But something gets you to say yes, to take that risk. Can you talk about taking risks and why it's so important to do that in your career?
I learned from an early age in my career, because of the people I used to interact with, even in cases or at the Commission for Investigations, that sometimes an opportunity comes which may appear to be an impossible opportunity. But if it comes your way and you believe that you are qualified for it, it's better to face the challenge and deal with it. And by the time this office was coming up, the office of the UN judge, I had already plucked courage in facing challenges in different fora. So I was ready to go after I convinced myself that maybe I can do it. And my government was very much behind me. They said, "Look, we have to have you at the international level because we know that you are capable." My Chief Justice was very supportive. So I said, "Oh, well, if you believe in me, let me not let you down. Let me go." And at the time, my children were still in school, so I had to make all the arrangements. My husband by then was retired, so it was much easier to get everybody on board. But I was still not sure as I left Zambia to go to The Hague and to go and meet the other international judges, the other international lawyers. But I felt that having handled a court, it should be the same as at the UN level. So I went there with some confidence, but ready to meet the challenges.
And it was a learning curve, but you again found colleagues there that were helpful and reached out their hands to you.
Yes. I found some, there was Judge McDonald from the USA. She was there, she welcomed me, and we would talk about the challenges, and she was quite encouraging. And when she became president of the court, she would make sure that our cases were allocated to me so that I could be presiding in some of the cases there once after 2 years. So I had that support, and there was another lady judge from Costa Rica, Judge Odio Benito. So at least they made me feel comfortable, and they would also warn me against the belligerent men, male judges who were there. So I would know how to go about my way. So after the second year, I decided that, I wanted to preside over trials because I could see that the procedures were very similar to Zambian procedures. And that's how I started presiding. I noticed that whenever I was presiding, the public gallery was very full because they wanted, I was told by some female lawyers that, oh, people have never seen an African woman presiding at international level in a criminal case. So they are very interested to come and see. I said, well, because our work is public, so people would come and watch. And I enjoyed presiding because I met other lawyers from other jurisdictions, and we would discuss along as we were going through the trial. And also, it was a learning curve, but it was work which I really enjoyed because I got to learn the values of other countries and the other legal systems. It was challenging, but it was worthwhile.
And you worked there in panels of 3, and you also ended up sitting some time in the appeal court for the International Tribunal for Yugoslavia and for Rwanda, where you worked again in panels. Could you just briefly share with us what those courts focused on, the kinds of crimes they looked into? Not look, the court didn't look into it because the court tried the cases, but the kinds of cases you tried.
The kind of cases I tried comprised of allegations of rape as war crimes, and torture and murder, also in the same framework as crimes against humanity, and ethnic cleansing. That was quite common because in the former Yugoslavia, for instance, even in Rwanda, most of the war was against ethnic groups, the Serbs against the Croats against the Muslims against the Serbs. In Rwanda, the cases were also the Tutsis and the Hutus. So mostly ethnic cleansing. In the middle of that, there was murder, there was rape, there was torture, and also inhumane activities that were going on during the war in between the parties that were fighting. So it was mostly international crimes, quite a lot of rape. One of the cases I handled, actually 2, where I presided, the Furunja case and the Focha rape cases, were mainly rape cases, which I handled. And we managed to get all the evidence. What was discouraging was the way some lawyers were treating female witnesses who had been victims. So we had to work out rules to protect these women so that they were encouraged to give evidence so that we could get the evidence we needed to record convictions. So it was another learning curve again on how to handle women who had been traumatized. The war went on for 4 years, and some of the women would be detained for periods like 2-3 years, where they were being tortured and being raped, sometimes together with their daughters. So it was a very, very sad experience for some of them. But then as a judge, you had to control your emotions and keep on getting the evidence that was required for the cases or for the convictions that you needed to register.
Very, very tough cases to hear and to work through, and very complicated. And the number of witnesses and trying to get the witnesses to The Hague and then to protect their identities. And just when I was doing training there, I was just struck by how difficult it was to get that testimony, and how the judges had to create an atmosphere to make the witnesses feel relaxed, not relaxed, but at least confident, so that they could come and they could tell their story. So that became very, very important. You most recently became a judge for the extraordinary chambers in the court of Cambodia. Now that's, how did that happen?
When I was completing my term at the Hague, after the appeal chamber cases, I was again called by the chef de cabinet in the president's office, and he told me that my name was forwarded to Cambodia for the extraordinary chambers in the course of Cambodia. That was about 2004. And I told them that no, I needed to go back to Zambia because I was still a serving judge in Zambia. So they said, okay, but we are forwarding your name to Cambodia, and they did. So when I completed my service in The Hague, I went back home. I was still a serving judge and continued my work with the Supreme Court chamber. So later on, the UN sent letters asking states, member states to provide judges for the Cambodian court here. So when the letters came again, I was away from the judiciary. I was at the commission, at the Electoral Commission. I got a photocopy and I indicated to now the late Chief Justice, she was Deputy Chief Justice, that I was interested in serving there as long as I was a reserve judge. That's what I selected. So at the end of the selection period, I was the only candidate who indicated that I would be willing to go and work in Cambodia, and my name was forwarded to Cambodia. So the New York communicated with me that they had actually been waiting for me to go to Cambodia for a long time. And I told them that I had to complete my term in Zambia. So that's how the appointment to Cambodia came about.
And then you mentioned something that was really, really important. You just said it. Was it the Electoral Commission that you were on?
Yes.
And so that was the first time you had dabbed in the political sphere in that way, isn't that
Yes.
right? And why did you
Yes.
do that?
At the time when I was waiting to complete my term, because I had 8 years to go to reach retirement age. At that time, it was 65. I was in the Supreme Court chamber, and the president simply asked me whether I would like to have a change. And I said, oh, yes, what type of change? Then he explained. Then I said, oh, okay, fine. I can go and save and see, though I wasn't really keen. But I thought, well, if the president, because the president at that time was a lawyer who had appeared before me some time back. So we sort of knew each other along those lines. So that's how I was appointed, and I went there to serve and worked with politicians. Yeah, it was another learning curve, and how to conduct elections. I conducted one of the elections after one of our presidents, the first president, died. And then we had to have elections within 90 days. So I was responsible for those elections. And that was a new experience for me. But again, there was a team there and we worked very well. The only change I made to the electoral system was that whenever elections voting was closed, the counting must be made at the polling station. That was important because throughout the country, transport was difficult. Some places had no roads. And previously, some of the ballot boxes would be mixed up or get lost. So we decided during my term that why not count at the polling station? Because then the people who have voted at that polling station will know how they have done, which parties have won. And then we worked out forms where everybody would sign for the votes when they are counted at the polling station before being taken to the constituency center. So that was an important aspect, because then it gave more meaning to the phrase "power to the people." So when you finish your voting, you close, and you are told at that particular polling station who has got how many votes. So that was an important aspect, and I dealt with it, and everybody was happy.
And that was such a contribution to fairness and such a contribution to the people of Zambia to have those elections well run. You recently developed a passion, although I'm sure you've been concerned about the environment, but you've recently you've really acted on it recently because you joined a group of lawyers on, I think it's crime.
Ecocide.
Yes, yes. Say it again. I had the word written. I can't find the word. Say it again.
Ecocide.
Yes. And
Ecocide.
can you explain what that is and why that's so important? And then we'll
Um,
move to the final section of our conversation.
Yes, I was invited to join the committee of lawyers who were looking at ecocide, protecting the environment. They were trying to see how ecocide could be defined so that it could become one of the crimes to be tried at the International Criminal Court. So I was excited about it in the beginning, and I looked at the various definitions that had been done. And I did say, when I accepted to join them, and I did say, it's very important to protect the environment and also to understand the developing countries' level of development and how they can deal with environmental issues when they are trying to open up minings in the forests in order to improve their economies. So I thought I would play that role, but it was short-lived because when I learned about the other activities, I realized that as a sitting judge at the extraordinary chambers in the coast of Cambodia, some of the activities I wouldn't participate. So I didn't want to be a dormant member, so I withdrew.
But
from the Ecocide panel.
Yeah, it also strikes me that there are just so many areas that you're interested in, that you have a passion for, that you recognize the need really to stand up. And I want to go to our last segment to talk about advice that you give to women and to other people on how to succeed. And there, one article you said there were 4 things. And the first thing you said was be clear about your vision and move toward that vision. What do you mean by that?
The way I look at individuals is that every person has talents. And if you look into yourself and find out what you can do, you'll find that actually you are a very capable person. Most of the time, it's the naysayers, the public, may sometimes even your family, who may discourage you when you think of what you want to do, a career or whatever it is that you want to do. So I'm the type of person who says, when you have a vision, what you want to do, especially choosing a career, look at it, look at yourself as a successful person in that career and start working towards that. And be aware that there'll be challenges, but work towards that vision and always be positive, because in the world, in any office where people work, there are challenges. So be one of those who will overcome the challenges and look to your vision until you reach that vision. So it's important to know who you are, to have your identity, and to move on cautiously, but move on.
Move on. So having dreams
Yes.
and knowing that you can take the steps to achieve them like you have throughout your life. The second thing you said was be prepared.
Yes, being prepared means many aspects. Are you qualified? Do you need to learn more about the vision that you have, the goal that you want to reach? Are you ready to work with people along the way to help you to reach that goal? Are you ready to meet challengers? Those who think, oh, you are not the staff who can deal with this, or you are not qualified enough, or you are not the type of person who can run that office. Are you prepared to meet those challenges and go on working? Don't stop and start answering the naysayers. They will deflect you and you lose your opportunity to get to your vision.
And that, you said, in that being prepared, sometimes it also means you have to work twice as hard. Your third thing was see failures as stepping stones.
Yes, because sometimes we get discouraged the very first time you fail at something and you think, oh, well, I'm not good enough. The very fact that you tried means you can reach your goal. So you look at your failure at that stage as a stepping stone, and you move. It's the way you rise from that failure that matters, and you move on, and you clean your suit or your dress, and you go on walking and work harder. Learn from that failure. That is important, and work harder. Do not listen to people again who are going to discourage you, because people who discourage others are always there up to the end of your life. So you know what you want to do. You get your vision. You have failed, yes. Failure is part of human endeavor. Rise up and work harder and move on and reach your goal.
And the final piece of advice you give is to show solidarity. What does that mean?
You are always going to work with people, at least here on earth. So you should support those whom you see are also trying to get to their goal. If you can support them, do so. And as you go on meeting your goal, you always find people who are better than you. So give way if you find people who are better than you, but follow your route also and learn from them. And if you can work with them as a team, all the better, because then they accommodate you, they show you the strategies they used themselves. And if they fit you, then you get on. You succeed if you have a team around you or before you, whom you are following, whom you are able to work with. We are all very differently talented, but there are always ways where we can meet and work together, even if we are following different paths. Always accommodate other people.
And I would add a fifth for you, because you've talked about the number of people who reached out to you, the Chief Justice, the President, various people who've asked you to serve, who've asked you to take on a new challenge. But one of the other things that you do is you give back, you reach back to others so that they can achieve their dreams. So one day they might serve on an international court. Why is it so important to give back to your community and to women and to others?
Yes, I find it important because I was fortunate. I was supported by the community I lived in and also the services that were available to me. I couldn't have achieved what I've achieved on my own. So I also feel that I must support those who are coming after me. And in any case, I'm retired. And Zambia will need judges, will need lawyers, competent judges. So I find that each generation must support the next generation in order for the country to move forward and for the world to move forward. So I always find it important to nurture, to encourage, to support whenever I can, especially when I'm at home in Zambia. I would give talks to young ladies, whatever it is that they are doing, and encourage them in the various professions where they've chosen. That it's an individual who make a difference. And when you are a team, then you are going to make a policy for the government or for your nation. So I always like to encourage younger people because I was once young and I was supported. I always remember that. So I feel that I should give back to society what society did for me in such a big way.
And so I go then to the final question. Your legacy, how do you want to be remembered, and what do you want your legacy to be?
Having come this way, a woman can make choices and achieve what she wants to achieve. A woman can also have it all. A woman can raise a family, can also aspire to have a career and succeed. What is important is to work hard. A hardworking woman achieves what she set out to achieve. I always say the sky may be said to be the limit, but your mental capacity is the limit. So if you believe in yourself and you are confident of what you're doing and you don't get distracted, a hardworking woman achieves what she set out to achieve. That's what I would like people to remember when I'm gone.
Well, there is no question that you are a hardworking woman, that you have done extraordinary things as an advocate, as a jurist, both in Zambia and on the international courts, the other service, the commissions you've been on, being such a champion for women, always saying yes to the challenge, to the next challenge, to try to make the world a better place. You said, you know, you can make a difference, that individuals can make a difference. No question that you have made the difference in the lives of so many people, not just in Zambia, but throughout the world. And it has been a real pleasure and honor to have this conversation with you. I just am in awe, as I said at the beginning, of all that you have accomplished in your life and continue to do in your life. So thank you so much, Justice, for participating, for being so candid and honest in your responses and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a rare privilege to really get into this discussion, into this conversation. I'm very grateful. Thank you.